There is a strange kind of pain that doesn't come from loss, but from change. The pain of realizing that the person you used to be no longer fits the life you are trying to build. You feel confused, disconnected. Your old self is dying, not in a dramatic way, not all at once, but slowly through discomfort, doubt, fear, and resistance. And your mind will fight this process with everything it has. Because the mind is wired to protect what is familiar, even if what is familiar is the very thing keeping you stuck. That is why growth feels like grief. You are not just changing habits. You are letting go of an identity. The version of you that tolerated less, the version that stayed quiet to avoid conflict, the version that accepted pain because it felt normal. That version is being challenged, and the brain interprets that as danger. So it sends anxiety, it sends hesitation, it sends the urge to go back to what you already know. This is the phase where most people quit, not because they can't grow, but because they mistake discomfort for a sign that something is wrong. But discomfort is not a warning. It is a signal that something is being rebuilt. When a building is under construction, things look chaotic. Walls come down, structures are exposed, dust fills the air. From the outside, it looks like destruction, but in reality, it is preparation. Your life works the same way. When your old self begins to fall apart, your routines break. Your relationships shift, your motivations feel unclear, you feel lost. And the mind asks, what if I never find my way again? What if this is who I am now? But the truth is, the feeling of being lost is often the final stage before becoming someone new. Most people don't fail because they lack discipline. They fail because they miss their old identity, even if that identity was unhappy. Even if it was limiting, even if it was based on fear, the old self feels safe. There is a moment in every transformation where you feel like you belong nowhere. You are no longer who you were, but you are not yet who you are becoming. This in-between space is lonely. It's quiet, it's confusing. It makes you question everything, and that is exactly why it is powerful. Because in that silence, without the noise of your past identity, you finally hear your real voice. The voice that asks bigger questions. The voice that refuses to settle. The voice that knows there is more for you. The problem is, most people run from that voice. They go back to old patterns, old relationships, old habits, not because those things are right, but because they are familiar. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar freedom. Growth requires you to sit in uncertainty without running back to comfort. It requires you to let your old self die without trying to resurrect it every time you feel lonely. This is not easy. This is the hardest part of becoming who you were meant to be, because you are grieving a version of yourself that once kept you alive, and now is no longer allowed to lead your life. You don't outgrow your old self by hating it. You outgrow it by thanking it for surviving, thanking it for protecting you when you didn't know better, and then gently putting it down. The new you doesn't require destruction through self-hatred. It requires separation through awareness. The moment you stop judging your past, you stop being controlled by it. And then something strange happens. You begin to feel uncomfortable around the things that once defined you. Conversations feel shallow, distractions feel empty, goals feel small. You don't quite fit where you used to fit, and that's not because something is wrong with you. A larger mind can no longer live in a smaller cage, but expansion always feels like pressure before it feels like freedom. The new self is not born in confidence. It is born in uncertainty. It is born in moments where you doubt yourself and still move forward. It is born in silence, when no one is watching, in small decisions, in invisible discipline, in choosing yourself on days when you feel unrecognizable. The new you will not arrive with fireworks. It arrives quietly, through consistency, through walking alone when necessary. This is why so many people misunderstand change. They expect to feel powerful while transforming. But most of the time you feel weak. You feel unsure, you feel exposed. That doesn't mean you are losing. It means you are shedding armor that no longer fits. The old identity was built to survive the past. The new identity is being built to handle the future. They cannot coexist. One must end for the other to begin.